welcome to another episode of Gaming at the Round Table. I'm Crystal with Maverick and JoJo. So, on this episode, we are going to be talking a lot about holiday events or seasonal events, I think is more. So, what we're going for is seasonal events in different games. I'm going to start off with a couple that I could think of off the top of my head, but I want to go two separate directions. So, Animal Crossing is a cozy game. It has the seasonal events in it. If you don't time hop in Animal Crossing and you just play the game like normal, it'll correlate with real life. So, Halloween, October 31st, you'll have the Jack of Halloween, I think is what it's called. And then for Christmas, you would have the Toy Day. But then you also have games like Stardew Valley, where you don't play those games. Excuse the thunder. You don't play those games like per day. Those games have their own calendars in them, 28 days per season. Well, they have in Stardew Valley the Feast of the Winter Star, which is in winter, the end of winter. So that's their way of handling their seasonal events in these cozy games. Did you guys want to mention some that you have been thinking of?
So I wanted to bring up the fact that you mentioned Stardew Valley's, or no, you said Animal Crossing first.
Yes.
So I did my research, aka Google, and looked up a list to see one list I came across was the top 6 best seasonal events. It says 6 games with the best seasonal events ranked based on this list. The number 6 is Animal Crossing New Horizons, because it offers what they say is a wide range of fun and unique events throughout the year, which is kind of what you were alluding at. The other games on this are Rocket League. Overwatch 2 is actually on here. And there's some that I'm going to mention that were kind of left out that I was actually surprised about. And Overwatch being on it was kind of a bigger surprise to me.
Yeah.
This list is a little bit older, but I thought it was just interesting that it was on there. Call of Duty Warzone. Destiny 2, which again I was surprised.
These people like their shooters.
Yeah, clearly.
Which was kind of like my way of looking at the seasonal events. And then the number 1 was Fortnite.
Yeah.
Fortnite is
So,
on top.
Yeah.
It's hard to not mention Fortnite on any modern topic with gaming just because they're so, like, I hate saying this, but they're doing everything right. Like Fortnite / Epic Games, there's a reason they're the biggest name in gaming right now. And they are the biggest name in gaming. I don't care
It's not
what
even
anyone
close.
says.
Yeah.
They're associated with one of the major game engines. They're associated with the most popular live service game. They're winning.
Yeah,
doing
they're
great.
laughing to the bank, as they say.
Yes, all the
But-
way there.
So some of the common seasonal events that you'll find in a wide variety of games, not just shooters. The most common, obviously, is Christmas, Halloween. Easter was on there, which kind of surprised me because
A lot of the MMOs do Easter. Like I
Yeah,
know
that's
Easter,
what I think
Final
is-
Fantasy. Yeah,
I think
And
some of
that's-
these are more MMO realmed or
Yeah.
RPG realm. So you have Easter, Valentine's Day, which that's all games. Lunar New Year, which is a big one. Thanksgiving, the anniversary of when the game is released. Cherry Blossom, which that one I've only
it's
seen
popular
in
because
like.
of all the JRPGs
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Japanese MMOs.
Then
as
there's
well.
Oktoberfest, and then cultural holidays is just a general topic that they throw at the back end of that. One point I wanted to make with the seasonal events, and this is kind of the devil's advocate to this whole thing, is that I think it's just kind of a way to throw in new seasons as far as season passes. And in some of the games, it's a cash grab. In other games,
you're encroaching on my turf.
that's why I said I wanted to like just skirt by it or just bring up the topic. I don't have to go like further in depth to that.
No.
per se.
Please feel free. I've got plenty to say. You guys know I never shut up. Clip it.
But it was just to mention that, like, again, some of them feel like that. I'm not going to go further into it in like the nitty gritty of it, but I think some games, especially RPGs and MMOs, do it just to do it. And I think that's, as a kid, I remember that playing I think it was either Final Fantasy or another one that was pretty popular. I think it's one of the biggest ones, and the fact that Blizzard made it, I'm blanking on the
WoW?
name. Yeah,
World of Warcraft?
I think they had some of the better themed events, and it had
Mhm.
nothing to do with just kind of a cash grabby thing. Is they always did it based on the season, and I thought that was cool. Is you could tell what season of the year it was by logging into the game and seeing like what was going on. Like you'll see pumpkins or you'll see snow or
It
different
certainly
little
wasn't
things.
as predatory then, right?
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
A
So
lot of the
now,
games,
go ahead.
sorry, a lot of the games will just do cash shop items compared to
Yeah.
where MMOs, it's an addition in the game, or like even like the cozy games, right? Um, it's more so already things that they're doing in the game. I find it more of the cash grab when it's just skins.
Mhm.
So on that note, and I'm surprised this wasn't in the list that Joe mentioned. Summer is a very popular seasonal event,
Yes.
such as in Marvel Rivals and many other games, basically almost every game now, because swimsuits come out.
What?
And sometimes the event isn't even an event, or it's barely an event, and it's just everybody's in underwear, basically. Everyone's in swimwear now, right? That's the
Yeah.
event. And you can buy these skins that show them in this.
Or beach themed is I think the
Yeah, beach,
broader way to put it.
summer, barbecue, whatever excuse you come up with, right?
Mm.
Another aspect that you guys have been skirting around that is like one of the topics that I wanted to get into. Let me pause. Not interrupting your train of thought, am I?
No.
Because if I was, it's probably gone now. So I wanted to touch on, you guys might be going down like specific examples. I wanted to talk about the purpose and difference between seasonal events for games and seasons in games. So let me give a couple examples each to clarify the terms, and then I'm going to talk about what the big difference is, because you guys are skirting on it. So example, Diablo 4, they have seasons for the game. It changes the balance of the game. Many MMOs have seasons in games that change certain classes and tweaks and stuff like that. You have seasons in a lot of the PvP games.
Oh, yeah.
They'll change the way certain guns work or weapons work, depends on the game, right? Heroes have different abilities, all that kind of stuff. And that's all seasons for games. And the opposite example is seasons in games. Animal Crossing was previously mentioned, where that has, I think, an in-game 28-day cycle of some kind.
No. Animal Crossing is like real life.
Okay.
It matches the
24-hour
calendar.
days. Yeah, it's like legit.
Okay. And then there's things like Genshin Impact, and many games actually have like time of day. I think one of the most famous ones is the Zelda series.
Yeah.
A lot of especially the modern ones, but a lot of the Zelda games have literally a day-night cycle. And in some of these types of games, you can actually advance the time to go to night or day or whatever you need. And so that's obviously not like based on the real world if you can change the time in the game and stuff like that. It's for the in-game. So the thing I wanted to get into, that's a big segue, I know, is the purpose. So purpose for seasonal events or seasons for games is retention, monetization, and engagement in the community, which is just to get people involved, which is just to keep them playing and right? Ultimately, it's for retention and money. Retention's for money. Everything's for money, right?
Yes.
So timed content, battle passes, these things you mentioned, rotating loot, all this stuff is to get people either to get them into the game if it's a game they haven't played, or to keep them there, right? So the purpose for the opposite, I think, is what a lot of older gamers are kind of miss in a way, but it still exists, is it's for the game, right? It's for immersion. It's for storytelling. It's for game mechanics and puzzles, right? It's to enhance the experience of the game, not so much to keep you playing it forever, right? So you see that a lot in role playing games, especially. Zelda, Mario games have certain day night cycles. It's not always day night either. That's just the obvious example. Baldur's Gate 3. If you arrive at the Goblin Camp at the beginning of the game and you get near enough to certain characters, a scene starts happening. And if you go somewhere else and like sleep overnight, Joe Bob gets assassinated.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm using random names because I don't want to spoil it for anyone.
Baldur's Gate is really good about that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of. In fact, the first time I played Baldur's Gate, I tried never to rest, and you miss so much of the story that only happens when you rest. But I was like so afraid I was going to miss out on saving somebody by going to sleep.
On a similar point here, give me a second. I forgot it. Go ahead.
I want to like cut in and say that there are some examples of seasonal content, and that I think differentiates between the season in the sense of the time of the year or the time of the day and what people are kind of going for.
Mm-hmm.
It says some of the seasonal content is reskins, cosmetics, which kind of the same idea, but they just tweak it to where it's like Christmas themed. New items, challenges, game modes, changes, and then DLC. I think DLC is the old way of saying the seasonal content being season 4, season 5, season 6. Compared to like winter season and lunar new year season or content.
Yeah.
DLC to me it's this double-edged blade term because on one half it could just mean the next season's content, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, new DLC, especially if you have to buy it to experience more of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that really DLC or is that just you selling us the game
expansion
like you're just making us pay to keep playing?
Yeah.
But DLC also could be more like 10, 15 years ago, and where I would say in the early 2000s, early 2000s and into the 2010s, oftentimes if someone said DLC, it meant like a huge
an expansion
content drop, right? Like you were changing not just the game, you were expanding. Sometimes there'd be a whole new map, there'd be a whole new story arc, that kind of thing. Now DLC almost means nothing because I don't know whether it's going to mean new areas and story or if it's just new options available to people who download the DLC.
I think Diablo is one of the few games that still goes by that structure where when they give you DLC, it's a whole added experience to the game where you get a whole new class, you get a whole new area, and you get an added boost to the story.
Yeah.
Compared to some other games where you just get a new character. For example, Apex. Generally speaking, every new season, not every new season, but most new seasons, you get a new character.
Yeah, but do you have to buy the character?
Generally, you can get enough tokens by playing to get the character without paying like real world money.
Okay. And if you do pay real world money, I think it's like
you get added
$3, $4.
Yeah, you get added it's on cheap. Top of whatever the base skin is.
See, to me, that's not even DLC. That's an optional skin that they're just calling DLC.
But that's what I'm saying. The difference between like Diablo, where it's a whole added experience, compared to like Apex. I'm just using Apex as the example because it's one of the more obvious ones, where you're getting a new season and a new character, and it kind of changes. And I'm air quoting meta of the game because they do hot fixes, and that completely changes the meta of the game. But
I want to give a couple lesser known examples. Go ahead.
One second. You also don't pay for a new season of Apex.
Yeah.
Like you have to quote unquote unlock the character if there's a new character. But say the new season is not a new character. It's a new map drop. You don't have to pay for that map. You automatically get that map. You automatically get all the new content. You just have to unlock the characters as you go. That's just all across the board.
It's a live service game.
Yeah.
I'm going to mention 2 franchises that are not live service and that I actually really love, but I'm going to throw under the bus here is where they're guilty of the kind of DLC I'm talking about. And I love these franchises. So Child of Light is a very cute indie-like game where the main character is like this little girl that gets into like a dream world and whatever. Um, excellent game. It's one of the very few games. I mean, probably less than I have fingers number of games that I've replayed multiple times, which is for me is very rare. That being said, they released DLC, but the DLC was you pay $3 and you get a different version of her, or you get like a different weapon or a different little magic thing or something like that. It doesn't change the balance of the game. It doesn't add story to the game. It's just optional skins. I think another franchise, I won't defend them. A lot of the fighting game franchises are really guilty of DLC, where it's just the characters in swimsuits or just the characters in office business clothing attire, still beating each other.
Mortal Kombat's notorious for that, where
Oh, yeah.
they'll take a popular character and then add them in. So they added in Predator, Terminator,
Right. That's a
like
great
these
example. Yeah.
big names, and they're essentially just adding in a new fighter.
Yeah, the
to
game's
the game.
still the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing but that added in character is different.
Now, I think a game that's lesser known to you guys, but well known in the RPG community is the Disgaea series, another favorite of mine. I love Disgaea, silly RPGs. They do like a nice little middle ground. They give you DLC. It doesn't change the story of the game. You're still going to play it like chapter 1 through 10, all stays the same. It gives you extra chapters that are completely optional, but they're really, really short. And they're just kind of funny. And then they unlock the character that's associated with the chapter. The way they do it, I think, is really nice, though, because in Disgaea, if you buy the DLC, let's say I'm playing Disgaea 5. If I buy the DLC for Valvatore as a character from Disgaea 4, I'm going to get to play a little map, if you will, that's specifically themed after the characters in the prior game. So it's kind of like a throw to the fan base. We know you love our characters. Are you about to say sardines? Oh, I ruined it.
Whatever.
I lost my train of thought. Someone take it away from me now.
No,
Sardines!
I remember my point I was going to bring on earlier. So, more towards the seasonal holiday event side of things. Something that I really liked about Stardew Valley or Fields of Mystria, for instance, is that you would think, oh, I get to enjoy the event the first time around, right? You do, but only a little bit of it, because they make you have to achieve certain things for the events that sometimes you can't do, especially if you're inexperienced in the games, right? So you can't experience those things until the next year. So it gets you to want to keep playing to get to the next year to be able to participate in those events. And then another point that I wanted to bring up that I remembered was that something I like about Final Fantasy XIV is that they always release new items every year for the holidays.
Yeah.
But what happens is everything from the previous years goes into the cash shop. So it's like, oh, you missed it. Now you have to pay for it. But you have the option to get it free if you played the game at the time. So I like that
It's a
about
decent
Final Fantasy
balance,
XIV.
yeah.
That gives
Right.
that like FOMO feeling where like you feel like you left out and you're like, oh, but I want to get it.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
some games have kind of shot themselves in the foot where, like you just mentioned, where they put it in the cash shop, where it loses the value or like the want of it. Because when you saw armors and stuff that were like extremely rare, that when you saw somebody with it, you were like, oh, they must have played this event because you could only get it in that event. Where
Yeah,
some games are
actually-
just going back and being like, oh, we're going to release that said thing for $50, for $60.
I feel
you
half
can get
and half
it.
on this.
Yeah, I was
Because
actually
you can't time travel, right?
Yeah.
right.
I
But
feel, yeah, go ahead.
But I was just talking about this on my stream earlier today. My friend had got the season 0 battle pass and he's completing it now. Mind you, we're in season 3.
This is for Rivals, yeah.
Right. So there's been 4 battle passes since. And I was telling him, I was like, I feel 2 types of way about it, I guess. Like, it's cool other people get to get it. But like, I was there. it's not my fault you you weren't there, okay? So like a part of me has that
But it's almost childish, right? And I'm not trying to throw shade,
no,
but
no,
it
no,
is almost
no.
childish because like
It
you're
is.
still
It's
playing
just
the
a
game,
game.
right?
Yeah.
It's they you don't gain anything from having that skin other than bragging rights.
Mhm.
Exactly.
And so
Give
It's
me
like
those
I
bragging
leaderboards.
rights.
Like, oh, I'm number
yeah,
one on the leaderboard.
But that's what I
Okay.
will say about Rivals. Rivals is very much about being a casual, friendly game. And people keep trying to make it into this like hardcore competitive, you need to be a sweat to play this game. And it's not that kind of game. That's the reason why it's having a lot of fallout and stuff like that. It's
yeah,
how
it's
it's
based
set
on
up.
comic books. Let's be real.
Like
Their
just
their
go in and
market
have
is not
fun.
the top tier of
Mm-mm.
competitive.
No. So that's
But
just my
Halo
thoughts on it.
does something similar to that. Whereas if you, because one thing I've always found frustrating is if you buy a season pass
Mm.
and you're like a lot of other adults and you work a lot and you play the game casually and but you still want the season pass and you don't finish it before the end of the season, you
Mhm.
lose out on a lot of content that you've technically paid for.
Yeah,
And that's always been frustrating to me in certain games. Whereas Halo, once you buy the season pass, you have it. Like you can go back and choose which seasons you're playing and unlocking. So if you're getting experience playing the daily experience bonuses,
I
you
like
can
that.
choose which season pass it's going to until
Oh, I
you
like that a
finish
lot.
that said season pass. And I think that's amazing
Mm-hmm.
because you pay for it. I think you technically own it. Again, that's besides the virtual argument, but you should have access to it because you paid for it. That's different than saying like, oh, you missed the Christmas event, so you didn't get like the ice sword thing in a game. I'm making that
Yeah.
up, but that's different because you're like, okay, that was a seasonal thing. I couldn't make it in time. It is what it is, and it makes you want to play more seasonal ones. But again, if you've paid for a season pass or whatever it is, I think you should more people should follow the Halo format.
Mm-hmm.
two
I
things
agree with
we
that.
touched on. Well, first of all, I think the Chinese New Year is another really big example,
It's a
especially now
massive
that
one.
gotcha games are becoming way more common to the point where everyone knows a gotcha game.
Mm.
Right? If you know the term gotcha, it's because you know a gotcha game. So Chinese New Year gotcha games are notoriously made by Chinese developers. For anyone that didn't know. Um, anyway, so that's another famous one. But the list of games that most people can rattle off, a lot of them have seasonal content or seasons in them. So I'm going to rattle off A through K, just the names: Destiny 2, Apex Legends, Call of Duty, Diablo 4, Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, The Legend of Zelda, many in there, Genshin, World of Warcraft, Pokemon, many Pokemons, Minecraft, right? So it's like most games that you could just list off the top of your head have something like that in them, be it a hybrid where it's like day night cycle that mimics our time, or we've talked about how there are many ways to do it, but most games have it these days, uh, especially because most games are online live service games these days too, so that's intimately connected. But all the RPGs love it. You do go by day. It's hard to avoid it. So I'm kind of surprised it took us this long to talk about it in general on the podcast. It's like a
Yeah.
huge part of gaming these days. What's the last game each of you reviewed on our channel?
Wonder Stop.
Trying to remember which one was
All right,
mine.
let me pick your brain on Wonderstop because that was a weird game.
It was a phenomenal game.
Did
Deep
that?
mental game.
Yes. Like
Mm.
I said, weird. The Did
Yeah.
that have any kind of notion of time? Because I feel like when I heard the audio, go ahead.
Um, it actually had a notion of different time, literally being different. Like where the tea shop is in that game is not the same as outside of it. So for me, like 5 minutes went by and a character left and came back, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, I camped out and blah blah blah," and I was like, "What?" And I talked to one of the other characters, and he tells me that time runs different. So that guy went and stayed in the woods for 3 days and came back, and I saw him gone for like 5 minutes. So that's the type of day it is, but I've never seen like a morning night or anything. Like none of that.
And that's like a hook in that game, right? Is that
Mhm.
suspended reality. So it's almost like the suspension of seasons is so odd that that's important to the game.
Time in general is important to most games.
Yeah, we could do a whole podcast on how games use really like puzzles and stuff with time. Like it is like a trope.
Yeah.
Joe.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That just reminded me, and we should definitely make a podcast of this because it reminds me of Genshin when you have these 2 nodes that you have to change to a specific mode to get the rain to fall so much so that the water rises to a specific point to unlock these areas and all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
It still makes me angry. I went through so many trials and errors with that. But yeah, we should definitely talk about that on maybe our next podcast.
Maybe.
Mm.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Mm.
My last game was Lost in the Random, and that's actually an arcade-ish type game, so it didn't have seasonal events that I was aware of in the time that I played it. So that was a rare thing these days, and I think it's almost enjoyable where you can play a game and it just be the game and that's it and you're done with it.
It's funny you mentioned that because when I was doing the research for this topic, one of the game genres I struggled to find examples for was roguelites. Because seasons, dude, you're going to die in 5 minutes. You're going to be back. And they're going to snap you back to either a point in time or like there's, so they feel a lot more, and you said kind of arcade.
That would be cool though. Like say you die and you wake up and it's like winter, and then you die and you wake up and it's spring.
And like things change every time you do.
Like that would actually be pretty cool.
There was a roguelite that did not that, but I think it was maybe Shovel Knight. I don't remember. But the premise is every time you died, you would start your next run as your progenitor, your kid. So you'd start as Bob, and then you'd be Bob Jr., and then Bob Jr.'s son, and so on, right?
That's pretty cool.
And when you beat the game, it would show you like your family tree or whatever.
Oh, that's cute.
But yeah, roguelites, it's almost like the suspension of time becomes a major mechanic. The fact that there are no seasons is a huge thing because when you die, it just boop, back where you were. Mm-hmm. And anyway, I struggled to find examples from roguelites. So you saying that the reason when you played is like, well, there you go. This whole podcast not for roguelites. There you go.
No, not at all. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. So thank you again for joining us for another episode of Gaming at the Round Table with JoJo and Maverick and myself. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.